So I've just seen Casey up the back here playing around with a couple of runs. So Casey tells me you're not a good painter unless you can get rid of a run. So I'm not sure what that means. But what we're doing now is, what Casey's doing is just a couple of big saggy ones that we spotted pretty much straight away. But you're best off leaving them a couple of days. And I'll just let him explain what he's up to and what he's done already and the process.
Yeah, so what's happened here is a little bit's run out of the boot lid. I've already taken the majority of that one out, and another one's run off these edges here. Just one here and a nice big one here. So I'm just using a razor blade. There's plenty of methods. Howard's probably spoken about it before. It really comes down to what you like to do and the best results, and what I'm doing now is what I like to do with my results. So this one here is a real large shanker with a big knob on the end of it, and I just find using a razor blade with the tape on it, which I think you've showed them already before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock the top of that off. It's in a real hard position here. I can't get underneath it. I'd like to come in from the bottom, but I can't because of this angle. So I'm just going to like a little cheese grater, nice and fresh. Just take it off here. And
that's like anything in bodywork, as long as you keep it flat, you're right.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And the tape is protecting either side of it, and it's given me a nice nice straight edge there. So I reckon that there is probably about 70% done, and up here is probably a little bit thicker. So now I'm going to hold the razor blade.
And I notice you grabbed a nice new blade to do that cut.
Nice new razor blade. If the paint's fresh, that would have actually just peeled straight off to the base coat.
Yeah.
So we've left it for a couple of days, and yeah, the bigger the run, the longer we got to wait. So what I'm going to do now is hold the razor blade virtually straight on like that. And as you can see, I'm not marking the paint hardly at all because I've got tape on there.
Yeah.
And it's really scary the first time you do it, but as you do it more and more, and like I said, you get plenty of experience cutting runs out, you become really like you're hacking at it.
Yeah.
And yeah, some people think, "Oh my God, what's happening there?" So what I'm going to do here is just hold it straight on and start shaving. And as you can see, the high spot is what's being hit. The low spot is being protected by the masking tape on the side.
Yeah.
So this has got a little bit of a curve in it here. So I'll just change my position on my legs. And I'm actually going to put a little bit of a bend in the blade, just like that, with a bit of pressure. And use that just to shave it away. And as you can see, the shiny paint becomes like a trace coat.
Yeah.
And I can see exactly where I'm hitting and where I'm not hitting. I don't want to hit this spot here too much, so I need to concentrate more on the high spot. And you can see here where I've taken it out, this is coming down to it. I'm only going in one direction, which is up, lifting it off each time. This side's starting to come good. It looks like it's got a serrated edge in there, but it's not. You can hardly feel it.
Alright, I'm going to let you hack away at that.
Yeah.
And then otherwise we'll end up with a 15-minute on how to get rid of a run.
Yeah.
And I'll come back with the camera when you get that all
ready,
up.
Ready to block it down.
Righto, so he's got that all cut back as far as he wants to go, and what we've got now is a little hard, it's sort of it feels like rubber, but it's actually very, very hard.
Very hard,
little block with a stick-on pad that's got some 800 on it.
Yeah.
And there's quite a few different brands in those. This is just one I've had for a long, long time.
Yep, perfect for what I need without having to make it.
Yep.
When you look at it, it looks pretty bad. It looks like it's been attacked with a serrated knife, but it actually feels quite good to me. So now the next stage now is I'm using 800 and I want to make that look pretty. I'll do a little bit dry and a little bit wet, and you can see the difference. So what we want to do now is remove all these gouges, which don't really feel that bad at all, and that's what the 800's for. So we'll go a little bit dry here so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm still using you can see a nice little bit of shiny stuff here.
Try and run on
yeah, so that's still my trace. So we've stepped up from the razor blade, now we're moving into some sandpaper, and I'll just do this bit here. You can see it now leveling out, and You can see a fat edge just
I'm
here.
just going to say,
Yeah.
that edge there, I normally run around the edges of my doors and
Yep.
lock openings and those sorts of things,
So-
because I guess that static causes that, is it?
I think it's more of a profile. We're always taught to do edges first, and that was so that it pulled the clear around.
Yep.
If you tend to do the edges second, so in other words, put a coat on the outside and then go around and do your edges, you tend to get these fat build up,
Yep.
It's running out of it, so to speak. So again, I'll just do this to get rid of that profiling. I'm just chasing it up here. I'll come back down and concentrate on this area here where I attacked it with a razor blade, and then you can see those
So one of the
scratches.
issues if you're doing a run like this on a panel that may have some orange peel in it that you weren't going to remove, you're going to end up with a flat spot.
That's
because
correct,
when
yeah.
we sand it out, it's going to be nice and flat. So you really don't have a lot of choice besides respraying if you want to keep that peel, or you've got to try and feather that out into the overall panel so it doesn't stand out to be someone block something out.
I'm going to wet the paper up now, Howard, so that I can. It's
Yeah,
blocking up a little bit on the edges.
A little bit of water.
And even with the water, you can just see the real deep. They look deep, but they're not.
Yeah, well, it's like that normal colour sanding process, then, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's do a quick bit there so we can see. You can see that looks really bad, but it's not that bad at all.
It'll come out.
I need to change the paper though. It's
And then what we'll do is we'll grab the little denibber, I reckon,
Yeah.
the Merca denibber,
Yeah.
and give it a buzz over with that, and it'll be pretty much ready for a polish.
yeah. So that needs a bit of fresh 800 there. I'll just get a quick one. And I know we got plenty of film build there because I hardly have taken any of the original thickness. The area around it, it's hardly any of it's been removed. What I'm cutting here is the actual run.
So I'll put a big arrow on this at some of that, Casey, when the people go, I'm going to see if I can see where that run was.
Hopefully some stoplights go in here and fill it up. And while I'm doing it, I'm feeling it for making sure if there's any bumps that that I'm not happy with. These here are coming out. The paper's very fine, so it doesn't come out real quick, which is what we want, because I don't want to rub through any edges.
You need to use something like this block, or a piece of acrylic or perspex, something very firm,
yeah.
so that it's not bending under your fingers.
That's correct, yeah. Okay, so this is all now sanded down with the 800 with the little block, nice and hard. Feels really good, and I'm happy with that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use a little Merca machine, and this is the the 2,500 grit rosettes. So I'll just wet it up a little bit.
I love this little machine. It's got, I think I've got a soft pad on it at the moment. It's got a soft and a hard pad.
That's correct, this is the soft pad.
But it's so good in these small areas. Now, if you haven't got this, you just keep going through your grit. So you'd go 1,200, 1,500, and then get in there with your little polishes. And before I had all these tools, I used to do it all by hand, which just takes a whole lot longer. You still get the result.
So I'm only going to do half of it here so that we can see the difference in the colour. You should hopefully see that. I don't know if you can pick it up on the camera.
Real nice, easy, even, consistent shine.
Yep.
Satin finish now.
Yep. With the soft pad here, it'll just take the radius of that little bit down the bottom. Just work it in there and blend. And what we're trying to do now is we're blending out. We started off in a real straight edge there with the razor blade, and now we've got the 800 and we've blended out that, and now we're going over it with the 2,500, blending it out. So. Just help polish out that edge that we were talking about before, that Trevor got.
There you go.
Yeah.
And I mean, the thing is, if I was colour sanding all of this back hard for show, then you'd be doing that process over the whole thing.
The whole car, yeah.
Yeah.
So I can still see there's a couple of little marks here, plus that fat edge there. I'll just go over that a little bit more. Now, often people say, how long does these piece of paper last, and how long's a piece of string? You know, if I'm cutting an area like this, it's quite significant. I wouldn't think it'd last too long. But if I was only just using it to knock out a little bit of inclusion, a little bit of dirt somewhere, I'll get quite a bit out of it.
Right,
I'm happy with that, Howard.
Yep. Hit it with the wand and it'll be all good.
Yep, yep, okay. All right, Howard, so we've gone over it now with the little Merca 32mm one with the little rosettes on it. That's 2,500, and now I'm just going to see how much damage I've done and how it comes up. I'm using the little 77mm Merca polisher, and we're using the Merca 45 cutting compound, so this is a coarse compound. Always try to buff off the edge if you can. It is hard sometimes. Probably want to have the edge of the Landsville pad running off of an edge. There's 3 edges here, so it makes it nice and hard. Looks pretty good there. I'll go down and do the bottom half down. Now down here, make sure we get some compound in here, because we don't want this dry edge cutting in there.
Burning in there.
Yeah. So the compound acts as a lubricant, and if I go in there and attack it, it'll act as a grinder. So I'm not using a lot of weight here because of this edge down here. Just letting the machine do the work. Just get a little bit more compound.
That Trev's hiding over here. Is it yours, Trev, or is it not yours?
Last time, check the video. Terry done that.
Video evidence, go back to the ref.
Yeah.
I don't know how come I'm lumbered with cutting it out though.
You're the master.
You love it, Casey, you love it.
I actually do enjoy this stuff. Until I cut through.
There we go, look at that.
So I don't know if you can get a good light on that, Howard.
Yep, I think we can. Couple
How's
of
that?
different angles.
You happy with that?
Awesome.
A little bit of a polish mark. I think that'll do.
Job's done. We'll turn it into a 15-minute video on its own.
Yeah, that's it. How to cut a run out. One way of cutting a run out.
If you're looking to do something about the dust in your workshop, think about going to something like this Merca system. Now, I've been using it for a long time now. It's distributed by PPG in Australia. Great product. It's not the cheapest on the market, but it's a great product, and it will help you to not only keep your workshop clean, you'll get really good results as well. Righto, so what I've got here is some runs that the boys got in and up at the training centre. Now, there's all ways of doing runs, and we've shown you some already with a razor blade. This is one that I'd seen, and I've done it a couple of times. If you've got one in a really hard position like here, what I've done is I've put a couple of coats of 2K, so 2-pack primer with a hardener, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to rub that primer with some 800 with the idea that I'm not going to then cut through next to the run, because what tends to happen when you block it out, and you'll see in a minute when I start rubbing it. So I'm just using a bit of 800, normal wet and dry, and I've got my little box of tricks here with all my different blocks, and I really want something very hard, so I might use something like this, which is just a nice hard block initially, and I'm going to use a bit of water. And like I said, that primer is there to protect the clear coat that's next to the run. So I might even have to go a bit coarser paper to start with. Because what should happen in a minute is we'll start seeing like that. So that's the top of the run. flopping up my paper pretty quick. So I've used acrylic primer to do this as well. So if I was going to colour sand this, I would rub it with 800, so that's why I'm using 800. You can see those runs there. We're just starting to see the shine come off those. And you can see the little drips there. Now if I was rubbing this just the clear, I would be rubbing next to the run as well as the run. So what happens is you end up cutting through because you run out of product. Now we're starting to see a little saggy run come out. Now here, there's a step there. So that's the high spot. So I've got to stay away from that now. So you can see the effect that I'm after. Now I could have cut the top off these with a blade, but I just thought I'd show you this way as well, because if you're a little bit nervous about putting a razor blade on your paintwork, this is another way to do it. It's a little bit slower in total time because you've got to wait for the primer to dry. But as you can see now, so I can't fill that run at all. I've got to keep rubbing until I get rid of my primer. So that where that run was is now all the way back down to the clear. It's quite thick up here, the run. That's a really good example there now. Each run, this one's run down through here. I just got to make sure now I don't rub through my clear where the angle changes. Right, now this is the very low spots between the runs. This is one of those good ones for a Friday night with a stubby on the go. Take your time. And now I'm pretty much all the way through. I might even go to a finer paper. So this is 800, so I'll probably go to 1000 or 1200 just to finish off those last little tiny bits. Now I'm doing this freehand in here because of the shape. I can't put a block in there. But I've doubled the paper over quite a few times to try and make it fairly firm in my fingers so that it's as flat as I can keep it. Still follow the shape. What have we got in the bag of tricks here? So these are all different grades, so quite firm, not as firm, and then softer. So I need one to fit into this curve here. You can see there now where this run's come down here and then run down and stop there and was a hanger. Two runs, the one in the middle. I can't feel that, so what I've got to do obviously is get rid of the primer. So I'll keep going. So if you get to this point and you think, I'll just rub that bit out, it'll end up with a little dent. So you've got to keep rubbing in the knowledge that those two blue lines were actually all clear, part of the run. Okay, so they're gone. I don't want to take any more off there now. I just got to get rid of this along here, a little bit up here, and there's still a tiny bit up in there. Oh, there's another one. Righto, so straight from that 800, I'm going to go to the 2,500 on the little denibber. So you can do this by hand as well. So if you're doing it by hand, you'd probably go 1,200, 1,500 and then go to the polishing. So this is 2,500. And because it's very soft on the pad, it's good on these curved surfaces. So I'm just trying to remove those 800 scratch marks now. Righto, so I've done the 2.5, now the 3,000, and I use the 3 because it's got the foam backing on it. It'll just get into the little edges. So now I'm just going to put a bit of the heavy cut, the 45, on there. I don't expect this to be perfect because I've been rushing it for the camera. bit too much polish, but it's coming up now. So that's the process. So I can't see any of those runs. I've just got to now get in and get all my little edges and do my polishing, and you know, I'll spend another half an hour to get that all up and ready to go.